Hi everyone. I wanted to share something with you, being that we're on a journey together here. That came the other night, actually. I received a newsletter from Stillness Speaks, and it was um, Joan Tollefson's new book, Death Dissolving the End of Self Improvement. And there's an adage that says that there are no coincidences in life. Or if you look at it another way, everything is unfolding as it should. So the fact that I received this book came as no surprise to me. When I first saw the newsletter, I said, oh, a book on death. That's my book. I'm dealing with all the stuff that I read that she pointed to as our human condition, what happens to us in life, especially as we get older or if something happens to challenge our health. The loss of stuff, loss of hearing, loss of sight, loss of bodily functions. And something jumped out at me that I went back and read it again actually, where it spoke of Joan having lost a hand. And if you've been following these links, you've read some of the things that point to the fact that I lost an eye when I was 12. So I wanted to address the simplicity and the profundity of that, because loss equates to our investment in something. So being real practical, think about something that you've lost in life: a watch, a ring, um, a car in an accident, any material thing that you've lost. And invariably, when you first notice it, there's a feeling. My wife lost an earring the other day, and I pointed this out to her in our pillow talk. Hon, look at the feeling that you had in reference to realizing, oh, my earring's gone. It's an uncomfortable feeling. And the uncomfort that we feel is in direct proportion to our investment. So if you lost something that you really, really valued, you're going to really feel it. So I often kid with people throughout the years about this, saying that I know loss, poignantly, because I lost an eye. Joan lost a hand. So in her book, she's talking about losing function, memory, our ability to remember things in the past, or our ability to, even in a conversation, and I don't know if you're a senior, but sometimes, and it's a joke that you see all over the place, I walk from one room to another, and when I get into the room that I walked into, I forgot what I walked into the room for. I have to stop and I chuckle at it. But it's part of the process. Now, there's things that we can do to offset that, nutritionally, intensive-wise, keeping active. But the fact remains that in the scope of things, the older we get, the more chances we have to being infirm, to catching especially living in this society, to catching some kind of an illness, some kind of a disease, and losing faculty. And our ability to deal with that is purely based on our attention and what we're paying attention to. Because at any given moment, no matter what's going on, there's the knowledge of that thing. I came into the room and I knew that I was standing there and I forgot why I was there. And at this moment, there's the knowledge of this conversation. You're watching me, and your attention is on listening to the sound of my voice, understanding what it is that I'm saying, and the knowledge that is derived from that. But our attention is on the object, on me, on the sound, on what it is that we're knowing about. And the direct path has to do with being interested in the knowledge itself. Because the moment you understand something, there's stillness. Everything collapses. And it collapses in knowing. And in knowing, there's the open, empty stillness of knowledge itself. And that's what it is, that the loss of the things that we're attached to brings to the table, makes us more aware of. There's a kind of a, how should I say, a merciful aspect of getting old, because these things that we take for granted, sight, hearing, taste, touch, bodily functions, the ability to go to the bathroom, eating, digestion, we all take that all for granted. Well, all of that's going to fall away, whether you want to admit it or not. And the falling away of it exposes the reality of that which was attached to it that no longer is. And what is non-duality if not realizing that there's not two? There's not two yous. There's not two realities. There's no two consciousness, one conscious and one subconscious. It's one thing, if you want to call it a thing. And that's not separate from the very awareness that's here now. Just this. So when I address what's going on with me and my just this, and there's a lack of flow in my urination, or there's pain in reference to it, or this unknown aspect of what's the real condition of what's going on inside of my body that I won't know until, quote unquote, sometime in the future, after I get the MRI. That's all happening now. The discussion of it is happening now. The inevitability of it is going to happen now. This conversation is happening now. When are we not knowingly now? Never. We're always knowing what's going on now. And it's, as they say, there's a Zen saying that I wrote about the other day, that there's two things that we know for sure. One is that we are, and the other one is we're going to die. The body's going to die. So the Zen saying is, what are you going to do with your time? So the most important thing that we can do with our time is be interested in what is it that knows. And we don't have to go far to search for it. We don't even have to search for it. We just have to discriminate. Discrimination is intelligence acting. Seeing the nature of ignorance, which is wrong association or wrong discrimination, and putting it aright. Being in the here and now is not difficult. As a matter of fact, it's impossible to leave the here and now. And it's impossible not to know. The question is, what do you want to put your attention on? What you know, or the knowing itself? And my gift is that as the circumstances of life present themselves, this becomes more evident. It's glaring. There's only this knowing, and it's not two, and thou art that. So I salute us, this idea of us in this single consciousness, talking and listening to itself, expressing itself as the only reality there is. Namaste. And thanks for supporting this understanding, and share this. It's worth discussing, worth sharing, worth embracing.